Hello, Sarah of SEK Handmade here, and you guys, I am so excited to share with you the Miramar Shawl. It is vacation shawl season, and that is my favorite season. I'll explain to you why in just a minute, but first I want to let you know that you should stick around until the end because I'm going to be sharing with you lots of fantastic ways to wear this shawl and a special discount code. All right, let's dive into the inspiration for this shawl. First, I want to talk to you about vacation shawls and the inspiration behind vacation shawls because I'm obsessed with it. I don't know about you, but when I travel somewhere, if I have the opportunity, I love to visit a local yarn shop, and I usually end up picking up one special skein of yarn. That special skein of yarn reminds me of my trip. It holds lots of memories, but I have found that I was collecting lots and lots of one-skeins and not knowing what to do with them. So I decided I needed to start a collection that I was going to call vacation shawls. The idea behind vacation shawls is that they take one, maybe two skeins of yarn, perfect for your vacation purchase, and that they're a pattern that has a super relaxing, memorizable stitch pattern that you could then take on another vacation with you and stitch up while you relax somewhere. There are two shawls each year because I'm inspired by both the mountains and the ocean, and I couldn't decide, so why not just do them both? So let's talk specifically about the inspiration for the Miramar shawl. You guys, I had an idea for what this shawl was going to be. It was going to be inspired by this gorgeous jellyfish. And you might be looking at that picture and being like, I don't get it. They're not related at all. And that's because it didn't work. It did not work at all. I tried for weeks to pull my vision out and make it be jellyfish inspired, and it just ended up getting more and more complicated. And that's when I realized this is not going to be a vacation shawl. Might it be a shawl somewhere in the future? Sure. But again, the purpose of the vacation shawls is to be relaxing. And what that was going to be was not going to be relaxing. So instead, I shifted gears and chose some of my favorite open stitches that were going to create a really beautiful, open, and relaxing stitch pattern. They fell together in a really beautiful way that I'm super pleased with, and I know you're gonna love. So let's talk about this gorgeous skein of yarn that I used. First of all, this was not a vacation yarn for me, but it is still super special. It was gifted to me by one of my yarny friends, and now every time I wear it, I will think of her and how special she is. This yarn is from a company that I have been eyeing for a while, so I was so excited to get this skein from my friend. The yarn company is called Yarn Over New York. They have lots of really beautiful bold colors, which you know I love. The colorway is called Bubblegum Dance. I just looked on their website and it's no longer available in the full skein fingering weight that I used, but it is available on a couple different yarn weights and a mini skein. What I have is their Times Square base, which is a fingering base. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it is 162 yards per 100 grams. Let me tell you about my impression of this yarn. First of all, this is like my favorite color of purple, and it was so fun to work with because like lots of hand-dyed yarns, it's not just a solid color, there's variation to it, and it was fun to watch all those little blips of color travel through my crochet hook. This has also held up super well. I started my inspiration with the jellyfish just with this yarn. So part of it has been frogged about 800 times and it looks brand new. So really gorgeous yarn that I think is going to be super durable to wear. Also, one of my fears whenever I block a new yarn that I've never used before is that there's going to be lots of color bleeding and then I'm going to end up with another color that's more washed out than what it looked like as I was working with it, and that was not the case at all. I don't think I got any dye that bled into the water at all. So very color fast. Let's talk about the hook. If you are fearful of using a fingering weight yarn because you're imagining using teeny tiny hooks with it, never fear, that is not the case with this shawl. I love using a relatively large hook for the fingering weight yarn. It gives the whole project really nice drape, really beautifully open stitches that is really wearable. So for the Miramar shawl, you're going to need a US G6 or a 4mm hook. All right, let's talk customization. This shawl is completely customizable for any amount of yards that you have. It started at the small tip and worked getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can basically do that until you run out of yarn. This is a 4-row repeat alternating between single crochet rows and an open stitch row. I do recommend ending on a single crochet row, which is recommended in the pattern. You don't need to remember that. Because you start at the short end and grow, you could use as much or as little yarn as you wanted. Also, the 4-row repeat would be a great place to put in stripes, so you could make a scrappy version of this too. And at the beginning, you'd need hardly any yarn, so you could use up even the tiniest scraps. I also think if you're a little unsure about the fingering weight yarn, this would be great to try it out in like a DK weight yarn and see what happens. Again, just make sure you go up a few hook sizes from what you'd normally use so that you're sure to have that nice open fabric and that really great drape. All right, let's talk about how to wear your Miramar shawl. You guys, this is one of my favorite parts of the videos. A couple years ago, I asked you, what shape shawls do you like to make? And many of you said that you really enjoyed making an asymmetrical shawl, but you almost never wore them because you didn't know how to put them on. And I will confess, when I think asymmetrical shawls, I do think, well, how the heck do you wear them? So I took it as a challenge to design an asymmetrical shawl and figure out lots of ways to wear them. And I am so thrilled to let you know that they are incredibly versatile. So this is a really traditionally shaped asymmetrical shawl. You start out with a smaller edge, you expand, 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 expand until you have a longer edge at one end. When it comes to wearing an asymmetrical shawl, having some tools can be super helpful, but I am going to show you a couple ways to wear this without any tools if you don't have any. So my first recommendation is to take the top of your long end, and then all you're going to do is you're going to tuck it under your bra strap. No one will notice. Don't worry about it. Then you're going to take the long end of your shawl, you're going to wrap it around your neck, keeping it as flat as possible, and then you're going to use this end to cover up the fact that you've tucked it under your bra. See, no one will know. Then you can choose how tight or how loose you want this. If it's a warm day, you can have it nice and loose around your neck so that it's not too hot. If it's chilly, you can tighten it up tighter, and you could even wrap it around again, tucking that end in the back, and you're still covered. Nobody's gonna notice you're holding it in place with your bra, but it's nice and cozy around your neck. Another way to wear your asymmetrical shawl without anything extra is to take the top of the shawl and give yourself a few inches. Then what you're going to do is you're going to wrap the long end of your shawl around this and kind of tie it in a little bit of a knot. So I'm going to wrap it around. I'm actually going to pull it out through the middle, over, and then that loop I've created, I'm going to wrap it back through. So it's kind of a fancy knot that looks a little nicer than just tying a regular knot, but it gives you, again, nice open around your neck. It's going to stay in place because it's knotted, and no tools necessary. When you end up with a nice amount of yarn like this, you can also wear it a little bit like a scarf. So take this extra long end, fold it in half so it's more of an in-between sort of size, wrap it around your neck, and then you can tie it in like a little knot right in the front. This is then adjustable, so you can have it as close to your neck or as far away as you'd like. Let me show you one more time a little slower how I tie that knot. It's almost like tying a necktie for a guy. I'm going to go over the top, around, and then down through the center. There you go. If the thought of tying a knot makes you a little nervous, you could also just fold it in half. I don't have quite as much fabric in doing this. It's going to be pretty snug around my neck, but that also gives me an option to wear it maybe more in the fall. All right, let's talk shawl tools. I have 3 of them here. I have a shawl cuff. This is a favorite of mine. Links to purchase in the show notes. This is an oldie but a goodie. I can link to similar things down in the show notes if you want something like this, but I don't think this one exists anymore. This is more like a shawl pin. And then this little guy is a stud button. It's like a movable button, which is super fun. It's got this piece of leather on the back and the little stand. You take it apart and you can put it anywhere you might want a button that you don't have one. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold this over so I've got almost like 2 little points here. Then I'm going to wrap my shawl up and around. This is a little more loose. And then to make sure that this stays put, because this underlayer isn't attached to anything, I'm going to use either my shawl pin, which I'm just going to weave in and out of the layers of the fabric. So now this under one is stuck there, and you can leave it just like that. Or you can use your stud button to do the same thing. You're just going to pull apart the layers of your stud button. You're going to make sure you're going through both layers of your shawl, put the leather backing in place, and then that's a little more subtle, and you don't have to worry if you have kids. You don't have to worry that you're gonna like accidentally stab someone with the end of this. That would be very bad. Shawl cuff would also be a great option for holding the whole shawl in place in the front here like this. You just wrap the shawl around you, use this to hold the shawl. You can adjust how loose or tight you want it around your neck, and that'll keep everything in place without having to tie any knots. For this next look, I'm going to keep it wrapped around my neck, but I'm going to pull the bottom of my triangle up to the top so it's maybe a little shorter, more maybe bandana-ish. And then I'm going to give myself some loose loops here so that it's away from my neck a little bit. And then I'm going to hold all of those in place. So I've got one end and 2 ends. I'm just going to make sure I wrap all the way around all those ends with my shawl cuff. And since that's a little bit more fabric, the shawl cuff will hold all of that in place. So cute little bandana, perfect for summer. Thank you so much for joining me today and sticking around until the end. As promised, I have a special discount code for you. Use the code BEACH on Ravelry to save 20% on the Miramar Shawl. That coupon code is good May 29th through June 1st. There are links to all the things in the show notes below, so go there, check them out. You've got yarn links. I'm going to give you links to all my cool tools and to the pattern. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that the Miramar Shawl becomes a project infused with great memories, that you use a yarn that has memories, and maybe take it along on a special trip. Thank you again for joining me. Until I see you again, happy crafting.